So today is going to be the Funko Pop album Black Sabbath number 2 out of the collection so far. Now we know so far that there's going to be at least 4 of these guys. There's the biggie one, there's this one, and then there's I want to say it's AC/DC that's coming out as a Walmart exclusive, and then we have Linkin Park coming right in behind that. But before we get into this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and become part of the Wayneko crew. My name is Wayne, and this is Wayneko. Now, as I was saying just a second ago, we know that there's 4 of these albums all together. Now, this is going to be from the 1970s Black Sabbath. This is an Ozzy Osbourne. This is kind of like his debut. Now, I don't think that this was their first album. I think that this is maybe their second or third album. But full disclosure, before we get like really into this, I am not a huge Black Sabbath fan. I never have been. I've never really been a huge Ozzy fan. I did not pick this one up because I was just monstrous fans of them. I picked this up because I want to get like at number 1 through 5 out of the albums, and then after that, if I don't get, you know, if I don't continue the number sequence at that point, I'm okay. I mean, I'm okay with it at that point, but I wanted to get my hands on number 1 through 5 and then display them and kind of see how they evolve through 1 through 5. And I already know from the Biggie album, there's a lot of things on this one that I'm going to point out that I didn't on that one, and at some point I'll get it together and we'll kind of do this side-by-side comparison. But in my box came the sticker Batman. So I haven't seen these stickers in a while, so I just got a new one. I'm gonna put it with the rest of my stickers. I don't really know why Funko started putting these in the bottom of the box, but I appreciate the fact that they did, because it kind of gives you something to hunt for. The boxes, however, still don't have a Funko marking on them. Now there's either one or two things going on, like I said before, either they're trying to protect us from porch pirates and they're not like putting Funko all over it, or they've decided to go with a little bit cheaper box. Something of that effect is going on. This is number 2 out of the set. It's a really awesome look. I fell in love with these before I ever seen them, because they promised that you were going to be able to display these things. They came with pre-hooks to put on your wall, and they were just, it's going to be the album. Well, there was a couple of things that were very deceiving in this. It is not the actual album. This is more of just a big plastic case with the pop that's mounted on the inside. The box, once you take it off, has nothing different. It's just this case, so there's no reason to really take this box off. And one of the things that I discovered in taking this box off was that it became super hard to get the box back on, because there's not a lot of give there to get this square piece down into this box that doesn't have a top, which is one of the things we're going to talk about, is the fact that this doesn't have a top. Now, most of the time when I'd say that it doesn't have a top, I would just simply say that it doesn't have the top, and that's a good thing, because it gives us another way to see inside the album. With this, it is actually a bad thing. Okay, so without that top, this top piece up here tends to want to bow out in different directions because it has nothing structurally holding it there. So as moisture or whatever, just life in general, gets to these boxes, and my Biggie box has already kind of done that, so I'm gonna kind of show you how it's already started the progression of the box not having enough support. The fact that there's no window here and it's just the case, this piece here where you see the guy, all of this starts to bow out as well. So there's a little bit of some flaw designs in this right off the start. I mean, that you're just not going to really be able to get away from. But they're really cool. They're really awesome. I love the fact that they're really large. So when you display these guys, they're going to have this huge like presence to them on the shelf. It's not going to be like your pop where you put him on there and then you put 10 more on there, and then at some point he's going to get lost in the 50 that are on that one shelf, or the 10 I think is how many I can fit on a shelf. You'll have to throw in a comment below and tell me how many of these guys you can fit on a shelf. But huge shelf presence, just huge is what you're going to have. And the fact that they did the Biggie album and now they're doing a Black Sabbath album tells you that there's going to be no rhyme or reason as to what genre they pull from, right? I mean, so now we're looking at this and thinking, man, this could go anywhere, and it absolutely could. This could go from Biggie Smalls, it could go from Elton John, it could go to Eric Clapton, I mean ZZ Tops. There's so many directions that they've kind of let you know that they're not going to stay in one specific genre or one specific you see they're not going to say in one specific style of music, right? So they've kind of let us know that the back of this is the same thing that you would see that if you bought the CD, and even in this time it wouldn't have been a CD, it would have been an actual like album, so it would have been a 33, right? And as you've seen before, like in the beginning of this, I kind of was showing off my 33. I am still a big fan of albums, and because there's just something about that vinyl that you don't get from a CD and you don't get from digital music. There was just something a little bit better about that. But let's take a closer look at this guy together. So there's a few things about this guy that I'm going to point out right off the start. Now the top of this looks just like the biggie one, but you can already see that there's kind of like some separation starting in the top of the box because there's no support up here. Now I have been trying to come up with something that would maybe give it a little bit more support. Maybe you could throw a little piece of tape in there. I'm not real sure, but my fear in throwing some tape in there would be that it's just simply going to damage it altogether. The front of him looks just like the front of the album, with the exception of it's got the pop inside, right? I mean, so, and this part right here, I mean, that you wouldn't have seen that on the original 33 album back in the 1970s, because this debuted in the 1970s. Lead singer was Ozzy Osbourne. This was look, such an iconic like part of the world where they're preaching the you know, the no war, you know, it's, look, Europe, very very iconic. And like I said a second ago, this tells us that there's going to be no rhyme or reason as to where they go. Number 2 out of the set, the back of the box is just going to be the back of the album. Now you can see on this one, and this is what I want to point out, so I'm going to kind of set this one here and then we'll bring the biggie one into focus. You can see that they have the wall mounts already pre-cut out, so it looks like they took a hole punch or something and they punched those two right there so that you could put some nails in there, and then the nail will actually like hook in that little spot. Now on the biggie album, you do not have those. As you can see, there's no holes in there to mount him on the wall, even though that was one of the things that was, you know, supposed to be so awesome about these, is that they came with the pre-mounts on there, so that you could see that they fixed that from the first to the second one, right? So from the first to the second, and I like how they have the first one in the red and the second, you know, just went black and white. You could see that there's a clear difference, right? So they got that going on. Other than that, everything looks exactly the same in these guys, and they're both really awesome. They're going to be a great like addition to your collection. But this is what I want to show you, and I'm kind of hoping that the camera's going to get it and that you can see this. You can see that I'm having like separation right through here, right, which is in the separation up here, and in a few different places where you can just see that the box doesn't have enough support, and on this side it doesn't have enough support, so there's some separation going on there, which will eventually happen to him. I'm just about guaranteed of that. And at some point, you know, after I get 5 of these guys together, I'll do one big review of them all together. That way we can sit down and see if any changes, and it kind of gives you the progression of where they came from, right? I mean, so we already see that there's a difference, right? They have the holes up top there versus on the biggie. Even with the mild changes that you see from the Biggie album to the Black Sabbath album, there's not a whole lot that's different other than the 2 holes that they put on the back. But this is a really awesome album and will be a really awesome like addition to your collection. I do wish that they put the albums in there with them. They could have done the really smaller record, right, or maybe even just the DVD, not the DVD or maybe even just the CD, right? They could have thrown it in there to give you just that little bit more like it's the actual album versus it's just the album cover, because in theory that's what this is. It is just the album cover, and you're displaying it in such an awesome way that it just attracts us as collectors to want to grab this guy. And I'm super excited that I have my hands on him. But you know, there's so much exciting stuff going on with this channel that you should go check out my Facebook down in the description below. Go check that out. If you're not a member of my Facebook group, make sure that you go over there and become a member of the Facebook group. At Instagram, the Patreon only giveaway is coming up this month. I have not announced yet what I'm going to be doing in the Patreon Patreon only giveaway, but I can like tell you that it is going to be a phenomenal pop. I mean, I have a couple of them right now that I want to like grab and like throw them in front of the camera and say that this is going to be them, but I'm kind of waiting on another one to come in to totally decide which one it's going to be, and then I'll make a decision and we'll go from there. But it's going to be a really awesome pop. If that's something that you get into, go down and check out the Patreon down in the description. It's cheaper than a cup of coffee. Guys, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and become part of the Wayneko crew. There is no Wayneko crew without you, and I truly appreciate you watching. Until next time, have a good one.